Hello again everybody and welcome to San Francisco. We've got it set to 7:30 local time, West Coast USA, and we're going to be heading down to fantastic San Diego, one of my all-time favourite destinations in the USA. I've visited many times and it's generally just quite a stunning place.
Clear one left, one right.
And great weather, of course. We're replicating a real-world flight today operated by United Airlines, flight 264, between San Francisco and San Diego. But naturally they would normally carry this flight out in a Boeing 737. We're in an A320neo, of course. Matthew, hello. Keith, welcome. Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, Matthew, you wanted America, so we're doing it for you. So we've gone ahead and got our flight plan all ready to go, and there's our Navigraph screen for you guys to be able to see. And we're not actually going to be following any form of instrument departure out from San Francisco using runway 19 right. None of it really matches our flight plan, so even SimBrief has just generated a direct to a waypoint, and then we're going to join this Comics to RNAV approach, flying over Los Angeles, over Long Beach, and then down the coast to San Francisco. When we get to Mission Bay, we're then going to be turning onto the ILS Zulu, heading over Mission Bay, turning heading 241 degrees to that initial approach fix, 230 degrees for a couple of minutes, and then round to come back on the ILS approach, and then in over the bay into San Diego. And then we've got a North Island Air Base there, or Naval Base rather. So all the charts will come in handy as always, and before we get there, of course, we need to find out where we're going at San Francisco. So let's have a little look at our ground charts. We're here at the Echo Pier of Terminal 3, I believe, or Terminal 2, I'm not quite sure which. And we're going to be heading up to runway 19 right. Heading out of 6A onto Alpha Echo, crossing runway 10 right and 10 left.
Traffic, Pacific 3626.
Up to the very hold point at Echo for runway 19 right before departing south.
Departure.
If you're new to the channel, of course, be grateful if you guys hit the subscribe button for us. And we've got 2 or 3 guys who subscribe to the channel following us along as well. We're connected to VATSIM, of course. So we've got a QNH American money of 3021 and our cruise altitude of 31,000 feet. We're not following a SID, so we're just going straight up to cruise. Performance wise, we've got our V speeds ready to go as well, and our flight plan is all good as well. You can see there we're going direct to Mackie, over LAX, and then into that star, Comics 2 star, into San Diego. We've got all that init page and stuff done as well, using the SimBrief integration from the A32NX project. Let's go ahead and get our pushback, and then we're going to use the Luke Air tool, which is freeware currently, to do the safety demonstration.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
Come off external power, of course.
Parking brakes released.
Pushing
And give
back.
the emergency call evac alarms to the captain and purser as well. San Francisco traffic, United 264, pushback and start from stand 61. David, good afternoon. San Francisco is handmade by Sobo. It's quite nice, not particularly well optimised though, I don't think. and they've missed the key details like the air bridge not quite being in the correct position for the stand, so it doesn't work, at least at this stand anyway. The livery we're using is free to download and is available on flightsim.to.
At your discretion.
Ooh, he just crashed that car in front of us. FADEX and engine 2 start. Of course, we're using the very latest update for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it broke the A32NX mod for all of about an hour, I think, last night. As always, the team worked to get it all fixed real quick. See if that's sorted itself out. Yep.
Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please.
Parking brake set.
Roger. Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the equipment is clear. We will see you on the left
Should have
side
changed
with
the voices on Pushback
Thanks,
Express
and you
to
can
the
disconnect
US
and go to hand
voices,
signals.
really.
Thanks. Have a
Engine
good
2's
flight. See you
available,
later.
engine 1 start. We should really be timing it with the chrono.
San Francisco traffic, United Airlines 234, pushing back from San 55.
That sounds like Ian, I believe. So, our taxi routes, let's have a quick jot of this. So, Alpha, Echo.
You are correct.
You caught me there. Oh, excuse me. Cross runway 1 right and left. Echo. Report clear, and then hold 19 right. Gadget, greetings from Tier 4. Hello. I'm not quite sure which Tier 4. What is Tier 4? Let's have a quick look. I'm assuming that could be you in the Alaskan paint there. Gadget. Let's have a quick pan around and see if I can spot you. The update has messed with model matching as well, currently at least, with the trial stuff that I'm using, and we're getting all sorts of stuff showing up currently. So that's the engines all good. Let's lock the flight deck door as well, shall we? And we go flaps 1. Ground spoilers arms. If you bleed, nose wheel to taxi. That's the APU off. San Francisco traffic, United 264 taxiing to hold point runway 19 right for Alpha Echo. Oh, Tier 4 thanks to Bot, of course, yeah. Park brake off, and let's start that safety demonstration from United Airlines. So the Luke Airtool specs, Theodore. I've got a Ryzen 5 3600X processor and a GE Force RTX 2070 Super with a 32 gig of DDR4 RAM, and it's all on a solid state 1 TB drive. So I'm going to make a turn here onto Alpha.
Insert the metal fitting into the buckle. Tighten the belt by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release the seatbelt, lift the buckle flap. When the seatbelt sign is illuminated, immediately be seated and buckle up. To ensure your safety, your seatbelt should be fastened at all times when you are seated.
There are 4 exit doors, 2 on each side of the airplane, and 4 window exits located over the wing.
And then heading on to Echo, as we can see on the signs there on the ground.
The main door is opened by moving the large handle in the direction of the arrow. Open the other wing exits by removing the cover and pulling down on the marked handle.
San Francisco traffic, United 264, crossing runway 10 right and 10 left.
On the ground, move away from the airplane. In the event of a water
Strobes
landing, main door slides can be detached from the airplane and used for supplemental flotation.
Most of my settings, gadget, are on high currently.
Unless directed by a crew member.
Anti-aliasing of things are TAA, of course.
In some cases, when your usable exit may be behind you.
Let's have a little look at our wing views.
Exit half-light will illuminate the guide you to an exit.
A light vest equipped with a water-activated light is located under or near your seat. It can be identified by a red tab. Do not remove it unless directed by a flight attendant.
If the wind was favouring a northern departure, we would have turned up towards, taken off directly towards San Francisco City, and then
San Francisco traffic, American
turned left
234,
over the
taxiing
coast.
to runway 19 right for Echo.
Yeah, gadget, I'd imagine I think my CPU lets me down a little bit as well. What is that? It's just an abandoned cart.
Inflate the vest by pulling down sharply on one of the red tabs. If additional flotation is needed, pull the second red tab. You can also inflate the vest by blowing.
After we take off and we're climbing up to the cruise, we'll go through what to expect for our arrival as well, with that ILS Zulu approach into San Diego. If you've never been to San Diego and you're wondering if you want to go to somewhere in America and you're thinking where to go, then I highly recommend that. A fantastic tour of the USS Midway. Great views over the naval base as well.
United Airlines is a non-smoking airline. US law
Theodore, with your processor, I would recommend potentially looking at getting a 2070 or 2080 Super and then an extra 16 gig of RAM.
Please ensure your carry-on items and tray tables are stowed. Your seat back is in a full upright position.
San Francisco traffic, American Airlines 234 crossing runway 10 left, 10 left.
All personal electronics are turned off and properly stowed. If an emergency evacuation becomes necessary, leave all carry-on items behind.
If you have any questions regarding safety,
San Francisco traffic, Alaskan 3354, taxiing 19 right by Alpha and Echo.
it's our pleasure to have you aboard, and we hope you enjoy your flight on United.
Where are those guys? I can see the Alaska. Am I being blind? I can't see Ian anywhere on the ground. Very odd. So what I'm going to do briefly, just to try and sort this out. Hello Echo, welcome. Just going to type .aircraft in, status. That's not a great status. So I can't see Ian because according to vPilot, the model matching has resulted in too many errors, so it's just ignored it. But I'm going to quickly disconnect and then reconnect into VATSIM just to see what happens. That should. Oh, there we go. Cool. So there's Ian. Didn't realise he was so close. There's the Alaskan flight. I'm back in. San Francisco traffic, United 264 is departing runway 19 right. Could have done a parallel departure. So at least I can see Ian now as well, albeit in the defaults.
San Francisco traffic, Alaskan 3354, crossing 10 left, 10 right.
So that's all ready to go. That's too much sensitivity with my throttle. There's a tiny movement there between us getting flex and toga, so I always keep dropping it into the wrong gate. Fluffy boy, welcome. P1, rotate. Zero, go up.
San Francisco traffic, American 234, lining up and waiting on runway 19 right.
And United 264 airborne, passing 1000. Flying it manually just for the time being. And there's our lever climb on the PFD. Just go ahead and trigger the autopilot. Stick that on anyway, and should be flying that line now down to Mackie. Past the S, so flaps to 0 and disarm the ground spoilers. And we're in open climb, so we just have to make sure the aircraft doesn't go crazy with itself. And we're airborne. Gadget, I'm
San
using...
Francisco traffic, American 224, departing runway 19 right.
We're in open.
Using a blend really between the standard model matching with the IVAO stuff and the model matching for the Mega Pack that I've written a VMR for, but I've got an experimental file as well for FSLTL, although I've been sort of sidelined on that project a little bit now, so basically created my own file for the sake of it, and so we're using a blend of all of them really. The experimental file is the one that's given me the problems today, I think. There's some quality Sobo terrain rendering there, thanks to the new patch. People reporting that all over the place in the sim apparently. There's a lot around Manchester and stuff as well. And we're airborne, and we've got a... let's have a little look. We've got an airborne... no, we've got a before takeoff announcement. Matthew, great question. So, I don't think I've ever explained this actually myself. Let's see if I can find... it's not going to show us actually there now, is it? So effectively, where's it going to be? It's not going to show us, is it? So in the performance page, prior to our departure, where we enter all of our data, there'll be an acceleration, or thrust acceleration speed at the bottom here. It's now changed to activate approach phase because we're airborne. But that will have something along the lines of 1500, or it will be 1500 foot based on sea level, so it might be 1800 or wherever else, depending on airfield elevation. And it will give you a rough altitude. And that will link up to your altimeter there, or your altimeter. So once you've crossed that altitude after taking off, and you're in flex,
San Francisco traffic,
you have takeoff power
3354,
set.
departing 19 right.
Once you pass that altitude level, it will tell you to it will give you that thrust climb or lever climb announcement on your primary flight display here. And that's telling you to drop the throttle gates from flex or toga if you're using toga into the climb gate, as we can see it's done here. Your PFD will then change to thrust climb, and it will activate. At that point it will arm the auto throttle properly, or the auto thrust. But as Gadget says, it's on the first page of the performance tab, but because we've already taken off, we can't see that page anymore. 1155. It's a great question. I've never actually answered that, I don't think yet, so Turn seatbelt signs off. Cruise at 31,000, so we'll make our way up to that altitude. And let's have a little look at Navigraph while we're on the climb, because we'll be climbing, we'll fly the cruise for about 2 or 3 minutes before then descending into San Diego, so it'll all start to happen quite quickly. I've actually cancelled my Navigraph subscription. The charts are great, but I can obtain those on my Discord server for free, the Jefferson charts as well. There's our progress. So we're going to have that LAX Comics 2 arrival. Transitions over LAX, and we can see there on the charts. We can overlay that onto the actual map itself. So we're going to overfly LAX. And we'll have already started our descent down to about 15,000 feet, or 12,000 foot for comics. Following that green line as we make our way in. We're going to get to Lantern, and then X-Mans, and we can just see there a VOR, and that's Mission Bay VOR, MZB. So our X-Mans are going to turn right, and then we're going to head into this approach here, if I can overlay this as well. There we go. So X-Mans is where my cursor is now. We're going to turn down to Mission Bay, and then we're going to fly heading at 241 degrees past the localizer and back on ourselves to then fly that ILS. We could vector ourselves in, I guess, if we wanted to. If we had ATC online, of course, then we would probably get some vectors. And there's all our information there. So for missed approach, climb to 5,000, heading 095 degrees. Inbound on that Papa Golf Yankee VOR Poggy down at the bottom here. And then we turn right back on ourselves to Capus, or Capus, before being routed back, I'd imagine, to another approach attempt. We can see Gatto, we have to fly at 2,100 foot. Down to 2,000, 10 miles from Gatto, which is at that turn there where the cursor is. Turn right on ourselves and then fly that little procedure back to join the actual ILS approach. And we join the glide slope at 2,000 foot, as we can see here. For decision heights for the ILS, it would be 200 foot for the DH. If we use MDA, it would be 217, but we'll use 200 for the DH because that's linked to the rad out, so we'll get the minimums call outs from the aircraft. And that's our Navigraph pages. George, welcome. It's just within Streamlabs, Cloudbot I think it's called. Wine Valley down below, and over this we'll then reach sort of Malibu and a few other bits before overflying Los Angeles, which is a fantastic city, albeit extremely vast. David, the little surprise has been announced then, I guess, at least to all the customers, I'd imagine, if that's the case. What do you think? It's good though, right? I see, Matthew. I've never been to New York actually, but my second favourite destination in the US is Boston, Massachusetts. Partly because I'm a Pats fan, but also because it was part of America that actually seemed quite English. It seemed quite homely, actually, oddly enough. So I quite like it. Boston's fantastic. I've never been to New York, but it is on my... Where's the plane? It's on my list of... there's the plane. It's on my list of destinations that I want to visit. So I had a little look on flight radar in preparation for today, and this is actually a route that is flown by United as well, so it's all pretty accurate to real life, at least trying to replicate real life procedures. Excuse the extremely poor drone cam skills. David, yeah. It's obviously a beta, closed beta, or whatever it is at the moment. But it is really good. I spent the last few days helping Max out, taxiing about the airfield, getting things levelled off and shipshape ready for the surprise, I guess. But the ILS and everything's been added and amended. One thing I actually asked, although I can't really discuss it, but have a little look for the bench. I asked him to add the bench that I've sat at numerous times through 10, 20 years ago to watch the aircraft flying in and out at the end of runway 15. Have a little look for that, because it's there, and it'll be a nice little thing for drone cam. From there as well, you can see how well he's created the really uneven runway. Georgia coming up to 1000, still making that climb up. Still a little way to go though. Those of you who are new to the channel, please do click on that subscribe button. Interestingly enough, it's actually using my model matching rules for the 2 Alaskan flights that I can see. Not the American flight though, that's broken for some reason. But the experimental files are not working at all from the update yesterday. We're testing a PR again, as we always are. Just general messages on the MCDU and the scratch pad, making sure that it all works correctly, which it does. One thing that I can do actually to prepare for our arrival is look at all of our VOR frequencies and things that we're going to use. So, 111.55, the KSAN ILS DME, that's all in ready to go. The course is 095, but it's blank for some reason, thanks to the sim. We got the Mission Bay VOR of 117.8. So let's go ahead and put that into VOR 1. And we want a course out from there at 241 degrees. So we can go ahead and put that in to help us with navigation. I haven't got an overlay, George, no. I'm not really sure how they work, if I'm honest. Took me a while to get my head around Streamlabs, so it'll probably take me another few months to get my head around an overlay. Poggy as well, we're going to want the frequency tuned in for Poggy, 109.8 for the missed approach. 109.8, and we'll put that into VOR 2 as a backup. So we're pretty much well prepared. The only thing we of course need to do shortly is look at, there's Mackie, there's LAX and our descent in. The only thing we're going to need to do is look at our destination data, but I'm not going to put that in just yet. I intentionally am leaving that because I want to see the warning come up here for enter destination information. What's happened here? Oh, that's why. Hopefully that M1 starts to come down a little bit now. We're flying the coast, and it looks like it's just changed the weather slightly as well, so it's shot us around a little bit, bumped us about as it feeds that new METAR in. One of the issues with Unreal Weather is it does get a little bit buggy sometimes when it's transitioning the weather from one METAR to another. But most of the time it works. Below 20,000 foot, it definitely works. Matthew, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. See you again soon. Yeah, Gadget, the RadNav page, the ILS frequency. Oh, there's an aircraft below us, look, on another airway. Let's see if I can catch that on drone cam. That's an Alaskan flight. There he is. Although all we can see is the lights, interestingly enough. So a couple of 1,000 foot separation there. LS populates, it should populate the minute the aircraft is tracking the localizer and the glide slope. As we're passing Mission Bay, VOR, I'll turn LS on. Soon there's going to be an update, guys, as well, to be something to bear in mind. There's going to be an update to the A32NX, so if you select LS or VOR on the Navros, it will mask the flight plan. So be wary of that if you're flying in some changes and you're not quite sure what's happened to your flight plan when it gets updated soon. I've been testing that the last few days. Matthew, that's an odd one. It might be down to your settings itself, so I'll have a little look and I'll get back to you on our Discord server with a little bit of an answer. So I might need to create a bit of a video for helping set up Unreal Weather at least. It might be that there's one step missing or a transition times missing, that it's not feeding in any metars. Loads of fuel on board. Sim Brief tends to really overestimate it still. But always try and put in your VORs. If your approach, like it does today, shows that we're overflying a VOR to then head inbound for the ILS, make sure you've got both frequencies set. And for the missed approach as well, this missed approach, at least, if we have to go around for any reason, we need to fly to a VOR for part of the procedure. So we have that tuned in, ready to go as well. When we get closer, this will start to bring a orange or an amber warning at the bottom on the scratch pad saying enter destination information or enter destination data, and it won't go away until all of this is populated. So I'll go ahead and do some of it. We know our decision height is 200 foot. Transition altitude in the US, I think off the top of my head, in the US, is it 18,000 feet? I think it is. And then the rest is going to be METAR related for us, so we can leave that as it is until we get that warning, just to see if it triggers, because we are testing it today. I was tempted to fly a lot lower as well for this. I was going to fly at sort of 19,000 foot over at Los Angeles, just for sightseeing purposes. And I still need to work on a video for you guys to show you how I've set my custom views as well. So I've got a long list of things to be getting on with, but it will come soon. I just haven't got around to it. I've spent yesterday working on a video for the fly-by-wire team for their channel, so that took up half the day. And of course, between all of that, I've been testing out the little Mako Simulations Christmas gift for everybody that's purchased the Manchester Airport scenery. As always, if there's anything that you guys want to see, then on the Discord server, which the bot every now and again pops onto the live chat, head to the content suggestions tab and let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll get around to it. I'm currently in the process as well of re-recording some of my earlier tutorials from a couple of months ago where I had some sound issues. So tomorrow there's a new VOR tutorial going live for flying into Skiathos, which those of you who have subscribed to the channel for a while now know that we Ian, does that mean you're literally right on top of us? I can't see you anywhere. Let's have a little look at our progress. This is where TCAS would be great because Ian's obviously overtaken us somewhere. I can't see him anywhere. Excuse the noise for a second. Why has... okay, it's wind. I always get nervous every time auto thrust kicks out. Alright, Ian, I can't see you. Matthew, I only found out today what KSP is, but I'm going to stick to flight sim, I think. Otherwise I get too confused with all of that sort of stuff. I'm in the process of trying to learn the CRJ as well. Look on the VFR map and zoom out. It doesn't give us traffic on here fed in just yet for VATSIM, I'm afraid. You know what I can do? I can go on to .aircraft on vPilot and it'll tell me, oh yeah, you're literally 2 nautical miles behind me. So I should be able to see you in that case. So directly behind, that's going to put you sort of here somewhere, but yeah, I can't see you yet. So Los Angeles is directly on our 12 o'clock now, over the hills. This is all sort of Wine Valley, and we'll overfly Malibu and things like that. Fantastic drive, by the way, if you ever visit the area, to head up Mulholland Drive and things. Really nice drive, actually. Done it a couple of times. And then down onto Malibu and back down the coastal road all the way to Santa Monica. Hey Callum, welcome. Good to see you. And Gadget, yeah, there's a few people actually that mentioned they're going to be buying they're going to buy X-Plane, I think. A few people were saying anyway. In the stream sale and things that are on, but for me at the moment, I'm quite happy with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, we get issues whenever there's a patch, but it's not so bad that it makes me not want to play it anymore. I mean, I guess it's difficult because 2 patches ago when they absolutely broke everything, and the A32NX was just completely unflyable for about 10 days, that was pushing it a little bit, to the point where I was sort of strongly considering looking at X-Plane or something else as a backup, but all it made me do actually was go into the Cessna Caravan for a week and enjoy a little bit of VFR, and that was quite nice. So I guess if it does break some of the big airliner mods, then in a sense all it makes us do is look for another option and enjoy a bit of VFR or something different for a day, so it's all quite nice. There's always something to do on here anyway. The only thing now, of course, is with the mods, it means that you can't fly the landing challenges. So that's one thing now that I don't really do. So we've still got no controllers or anything on VATSIM, so it'll just be simple position reports as we get closer, and just having a little look through our current position to consider when we might need to start descending. So Los Angeles in about 5-10 minutes, about 10 minutes I think. Flight number is United 264. Well, in the MCDU actually, it's UA264, Uniform Alpha 264. Yeah, David, that was voted actually, I think, for on the forums. People calling for delayed and optional updates. Ian's right next to us. In fact, I can hear a second aircraft. Where are you, Ian? Yeah, we've changed it last minute, Callum. Oh, there's Ian. Hee. Got his wheels down though because the AI models are a little bit messed up. And Dominic's somewhere behind us as well. Let's try and change this view a little bit. Oh, Dominic, no. Crashed the desktop, not good. There's some quality terrain mapping there from Asobo, I just noticed. There he is. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head to... Ignore all this real bad drone cam for the time being, guys. Let's go Alt 5 for my default view. There we go. There's Ian. Gonna get a screenshot of that, stick it on the Discord server. Don't take well to being overtaken. No pressure though, because I'm going to be up your tail for landing. Captures. While I'm doing that, let's see where he is now. There we go. We'll use the first officer's viewpoint, shall we? Those of you who've got Manchester Airport scenery from Macro Simulations, check your emails. There's a little Christmas gift on there. Not quite sure what that is. Some odd rendering going on. Just catching up on some QA stuff with the A32NX project as well, 2604. I was testing something earlier that didn't quite work as expected, so just trying to help them out, guide them at the same time as doing all of this. There we go, and back to the chat. Yeah, PC Aviation, quite a few people actually have said that they've had issues reinstalling and had to, issues updating, and some have ended up having to reinstall the whole sim, frustratingly. Ian, good question actually. We've got a 24 knot tailwind, headwind, sorry. So that makes sense. We're using Unreal Weather, but it's a complete contrast in that case to the weather you're getting from Meteo Blue. We're getting a new one now, Santa Barbara Municipal, slowly starting to build in and transition. My cost index is 25 as well, and Ian's long gone now, I think. Not quite sure what that real shiny bit there, that's obviously a big messy bit of rendering. Disappointing bit of rendering, maybe, I should say. I'm just going to reposition the camera slightly on the drone so that we can see Los Angeles as we get nearer, because that's going to be coming up just over the crux of that bay. It's jutting out in the distance. And we'll go back into the flight deck for a little while. Cool, so that's LAX coming up in the distance. 40 miles, so we can see that on the nav display there as well. And 120 miles until we are pretty much going to be turning to fly the approach. Good question, let me see, selecting mode. No. Yeah, I seem to be selecting Mac still fine there. And then back to managed. So I've not had any problems myself actually though with that. Ian, are you using the very latest master dev branch of the A32NX? See, by COMEX we want to be flight level. Where's the charts when you need them? Let's have a little look. COMEX 2. $12,000. So let's just start a slow descent now. Hopefully then we can get a nice little view over LAX as we come nearby it as well. Let's do 14. And there's our warning for enter destination information now. So that's good. Tony, at the moment there's no TCAS actually built into the sim properly. Frustratingly, so we can't actually get that TCAS information, which would be great when it comes in, but and it is needed. Altimeter's 3010. Here's 1019 in our money. Temperature 10 degrees. Wind 000 at 00 knots. I'll put that in just as it is then. And there we go, we've input all of that, so we've got rid of that warning there for enter destination information. That's our performance page for approach complete. And we're over LAX in a second. There's a freeway that takes you down here, it's great to drive down. And then we've got Santa Monica Pier down here below us. And Long Beach, there's LAX in the distance. Make sure I've got my charts ready for the approach with an overlay on the map. There we go, that looks good. Mission Bay, 4,400. Aiming for 2,100 for the procedure. Tony, good, nice. This is a great road to drive down, takes you all the way up to Santa Monica Pier, which is just here. And we're going to go directly over LAX before continuing down towards Long Beach. Following the coast all the way down to Mission Bay. LAX in the Premium Deluxe version is of course handmade airport by a SO boat. There's plenty of approaches for us to consider if we're flying into a massive airport like LAX. Lots for us to be doing for that. There's Santa Monica Pier down below, although it's photogrammetry so it's not great zoomed in. It looks fantastic when we're low down. Kevin, yeah, sometimes that does happen. A little bit odd actually. The only thing really that I could suggest would be to look at all of your charts, so that you can expect it to go wrong, and then you have an idea of what to do to fly it manually yourself. For example, when we get closer, I know that this is slightly different to what the charts are telling us to do, so we'll likely be flying it a little bit manually, tracking that VOR for Mission Bay as we arrive there. Yeah, there's the NCIS Los Angeles shed. Good question, Gadget. If the wind is variable at 5 knots, for example, what do we put in the wind heading on the MCDU? I just tend to pick something, not exactly runway heading, but I'll just go with something that's offset, so nearer towards a crosswind with 5 knots. But it doesn't really matter what you can put in at that point, I guess. Yeah, hopefully the stars and things, it will correct itself in the future. I know reading the update notes for yesterday's patch, they've suggested that they've changed the way that the sim handles no vires. So apparently by the looks of reading the, or at least from reading the patch notes, it sounds like we can now do no vires without it still forcing us to go over the top of the airport, which would be quite key for airports like Manchester and things like that. Afternoon, Mako. Great little email. And something has... Ooh, look what's happening to my sim, guys. I feel like I'm about to get a crash to desktop. Ooh-wee. Very unstable there. Doesn't like it. Getting permanent micro stutters now. Wow. Are we going to crash? Damn a Sobo. Just going to close some tabs. Going to close the Luke Air tool. What else have we got? Let's close Pushback Express. Has that helped? Yes, it has. Interesting. Gobbling up resources, some of these add-ons. I've still got Navigraph open, but if we get moments like that again, then I'll be getting rid of Navigraph as well. Yes, it's not happy. It's very resource intensive though, flying in over like Los Angeles, so I'm not surprised. It's trying to render a lot. Oh, it doesn't like it. That's froze. Oh dear. I'm going to stick to the flight deck. Although I've clicked insert and it's not taking me back in. And it's still not taking me in. Oh dear. They've really messed this sim up, haven't they? I never had anything like this before, issues wise. Fly A320neo, hello, welcome. You join me at a time where we're battling some horrendous frame rates. And we're back in, just in time for me to see what on earth is going on with the aeroplane's bank angle. We're still freezing a lot. Still frozen there. In fact, we've completely frozen now at this point. Good grief. My sim has never behaved like this before. Maybe if I stare at the screen, we zoom in. Ignition starts now randomly turned itself on as well. And we froze. Come on. Wow, what is going on? Everything was doing really well up until we got towards Los Angeles. I've now quit all of my add-ons except for the stream, of course, and Navigraph. I'm just going to stare at the altimeter for a little bit. It's froze again there, look. Jesus, I bet you're well excited. Still frozen. 1880's frozen again. Ian, are you still flying? Okay, are you getting you getting the same issues as I'm facing at the moment, or are you getting something else? I mean, that was really messy there. Has it stabilised itself now? Amarok, good question. We're on VATSIM, yes, and we've got some multiplayer. So we turn multiplayer settings off for VATSIM, but in fact it feeds in data from aircraft connected to the same network. So even if people are using different simulators, when you're connected on VATSIM, everybody can see each other, which is quite cool. What I might do after this is I might remove some of these experimental AI files that I've got in my community folder in case they're causing a problem. Have you Jesus, have you asked your dad for anything nice for birthday? Ah yes, we're below our transition level of 18,000 in America, so we should have QFE on as well. QFE? QNH, there we go. Yeah, so Ian, you're getting some odd issues as well. There we are. I've sorted the QNH issue out. Polish pilot, what's my frames per second? Normally, at this point, I would be running 50-60 frames per second. But for some reason back there, I don't even think we were getting 2 or 3 at one point. So I'm surprised we didn't crash the desktop at that point. But we're looking good again. If we zoom around, we're getting some good movement in the flight deck again, so I'm happy with that. And let's have a little look at our waypoints. Comex is coming up in 35 nautical miles. Ian's up ahead somewhere. Dominic's unfortunately crashed the desktop himself. Was the third guy flying the route with us. Let's have a little look at the map. Comic Standard 12,000, Lantern at 9,000, and then Zaman's at 7,000. Let's pop the belts on. Yeah, interestingly, I've got I use BullGuard for antivirus, and I've got it set so that whenever I'm on the sim, it will not, under any circumstance, run any scans or anything, so it basically shuts itself off in the background. Although whether it still works or not in the background, I'm not sure, but it says that it doesn't. It says it freezes itself. It's great views flying in. Descending now to a more reasonable altitude, so we should start to get some good views as we make our way into San Diego. Again, like one of my favourite places in America. If you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button, folks. And I'm always happy to take content suggestions, so if there's anything you guys want to see in particular, you can let me know. Matthew, for example, he's been a subscriber for a couple of months, and he's requested an American route, so we're doing San Francisco to San Diego. Yeah, Gadget BullGuard, I've not been that impressed with, actually. It tends to cause more problems for me than it's worth. FN crew, no problem, welcome. We're just into our descent now into San Diego. Comics 2 arrival. Some great views. Let's see if we get those micro stutters if we go back out to drone cam. Oh, and I've pressed my fat finger button. I need to wipe that keybind. San Diego's right off in the distance. We can actually see it just on the edge of the screen. Looking ahead. Is San Diego directly in front of us? Those of you tuning in at flightsim.to for this United Airlines livery for the A320neo. Oh, brilliant. We're accelerating again for no reason. So this is where the aircraft is doing some odd stuff. So now it's targeting 230 knots. But we're not in approach mode. What phase are we in? We're in descent. We should be at 287 there. And it's doing that thing again where it can't quite work out what it wants to do, but I'm going to keep it at that. 240. There's the sim showing us that really odd procedure that we've got to do. It kind of represents what it looks like on the charts, I guess. But I will fly it manually. Let's stick VOR2 on. And Zaman's at 7,000. Wireless Zulu. So we wanted a mission bay, 241 degrees, down to 2,800 foot. Gato 2,000 foot, and then back round for 095 degrees, which is the runway heading. This is the developer version, but it's actually a test PR, as I'm a QA tester for them. So let's see. 30 miles. Let's descend to 7,000. We start to 3010. That's the local QNH. Auto brake low. 34 miles till Mission Bay, that VOR that we're tracking, which is where that D and the plus is, MZB. We're going to fly out to Gatto before then turning back round on ourselves to fly the ILS approach. So the stable version and the dev version should all be fixed again now, guys. So if you've updated today, you should be at least able to fly as I am now. Gadget, does the livery make a difference to where the catering truck lines up with? No, it shouldn't do. Sometimes the sim doesn't read it correctly, so it links up in a very odd way. At San Francisco, for example, we didn't get any air bridge lining up nicely. Oh, that's what it was doing. It was restricting our speed for the constraints. Of course it was. Let's do 220 knots. Going through 10,000 feet. Landing lights on. Some clouds forming in now as well. San Diego traffic, United 264, passing Comets, flight level 100, inbound for ILS Zulu, runway 09. Gadget, yeah, for me, I always delete the file from within the community folder first, and then from there I will install the new file fresh. And certainly because when I'm QA testing as well, I might test 3 or 4 different PR files, so 3 or 4 different A320 files, one after the next. So I have to come out the sim, I'll delete the folder, and then I'll install the new PR directly into the community folder. And each time I'll install it fresh, just so there's no files that might overlap or cause any problems with each other. So we're going to keep flying straight up to Zaman, and then at MZB to Gatto we want to fly 241 degrees and descend down to 2,800 feet. Once we pass Gatto we then descend to 2,000 feet, and then we turn round back on ourselves to head into the runway for the ILS approach. And Ian's managed to get 17 nautical miles ahead of me. Good grief. 2,800 feet, apparently, according to 2,600 now, according to VATSIM. I'm actually going to continue our descent down, I think. Why not? 2,100, wasn't it? Try and time this nicely. Nick, hello, welcome. Not far to go actually now, 15 miles to Zaman. And then we'll be tracking that VOR. I'll use the VOR mode there initially as well, just so we can get that course, which will be the arrow. We can try and fly that nicely. Moldova, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Let's arm the spoilers, and we can activate approach phase at this point as well, I think. So let's go back into managed speed mode so we get that auto thrust down to the green dot.
ILS established runway 09.
And that's Ian on his way in. That's not good. Try and fly to A320neo. Try and remove some items out of your community folder, because there'll be a couple that just don't work properly post update. So one of the largest naval bases in America is in San Diego, and if you had the pleasure of visiting as well, you can go to the Top Gun bar down by the coast, which is great to go and visit. And as well, most of the hotels along the bay that look out to Mission Bay show the you can actually see like the USS Nimitz and all the aircraft carriers for the US Navy going in and out of the base as well, which is really cool. Not far to go at all now. Let's have a little look. Let's continue our descent a bit more, shall we? So minus 1200 foot per minute. He was using the same route, I believe, Gadget, and he was using Meteo Blues in sim live weather. So we've had differing weather. He's had a tailwind most of the way, actually pushing him along. Go ahead and arm VOR2 as well, because that's in case of our go around.
San Diego traffic, American 234, short final, runway 09.
Here comes some weather getting fed into the METAR. Look at that down below there. That looks amazing. Love San Diego, fantastic place. Let's get some speed brake out, help us slow down. And what we're flying is basically the procedure that we can see on the charts. So just to remind you guys, let's get Navigraph up. We're flying in from Mission Bay at the top of the screen here, 117.8, turning right, heading 241 degrees. Down to Gatto, 2,000 foot, and then round on ourselves this little procedure there, 230 degrees, and then right to 050 degrees to then come and intercept the ILS. For runway 09, ILS Zulu. If you are faced with lots of options and you're trying to wonder which ILS you should be flying, then my advice would be to, if you're in doubt, just use ILS Zulu. Noga, good to see you tuning in, welcome. We're landing in about 5 minutes, so you'll join us right at the end of the descent. Let's go onto that VOR tab so we can track, we'll let the aircraft fly it, but we can track that VOR course. We've got the course set of 241 degrees, so we know if the aircraft messes up or not. And San Diego Airport, where Ian's just landed, is directly in front of us here now.
San Diego traffic, American 234 has vacated runway 09.
San Diego traffic, United 264, passing Mission Bay VOR, descending to 2,000 feet for the ILS Zulu 09. Let's get some views, shall we, guys? Let's get rid of those speed brakes. I've configured flaps 1 for the slats. We'll probably go back to the flight deck now and hear a whole lot of master warnings and things probably. No, we're good. And the aircraft seems to be flying that course nicely actually, so we're just going to leave it on managed heading. In fact, that's hit that pretty much bang on, look at that. Slightly overshot the turn, but that's pretty good for a VOR course. There's the other view for us. Let's go flaps 2. Starting to get some micro stutters again. I've seen all manner of things thanks to this new update. I've seen, well, a mate of mine sent me a video the other day showing me how all of a sudden he was getting micro stutters where his entire screen would just flash white. We're landing at San Diego, Gadget, or KSAN. So let's do crew in the seats. We could go ahead and arm the ILS modes there. You can see actually we're just meeting that glide slope nicely actually now too. So we don't necessarily need to fly this entire procedure. We could cut it early if we wanted to. The GPU that I've got, good question Nick, it's a GeForce RTX 2070 Super. And normally it's absolutely fine, but this this update that was released yesterday caused us a few issues as we were flying into Los Angeles. San Diego right behind us. The US Air Base is just off where our cursor is there. The US Naval Base rather. Gadget nice. Cool, let's vector ourselves in for finals. So we'll see if the aircraft banks too much and then we lose altitude like it was doing before. Holding 2000, which is nice. Whoa, I hate that zoom. Squad, you're not too late. We're just vectoring ourselves now for finals. We'd have loads to fly. Our alternate today is LAX. We've got more than enough. We've got 4 tons of fuel left over. Once again, another sim brief over calculation. So spoilers are on, signs are on, landing gear is still up, flaps off, set to 2. We're vectoring ourselves in for finals. Runway heading is 095 degrees. Wow, there's a random bit of where's that blinding sun just come from the sim, guys? That's odd. Wow. How that just spawns itself in like that. Yeah, normally for the A320 you're looking at 30 minutes of fuel. And we're 8-mile finals now. Echo, yeah, I've actually been testing it over the last few days, so I was having to keep a secret from everybody else. But it's great. Most people wanted Birmingham Airport, so it's fantastic. Macca Simulations is rising to the challenge for that. San Diego traffic, United 264 established on the ILS runway 09. 7-mile finals to land. Brett, good morning, welcome. Joining us just on a final approach. There's the runway in the distance. Six miles, so we'll go gear down. And we'll go flaps full now as well. Check our progress. On the glide slope, descending, we're nicely on that localizer as well for that final approach in. Runway's directly ahead of us where that cursor is, and landing checklist is complete. 2000. The go around altitude that we need is 5000. So let's go ahead and make sure that's set before we get to 1000 foot. So that's ready for us if we have to go around for any reason. Let's see. Let's get an inbound cabin view as we pass over the coast, shall we? Brett, no problem at all. Thank you for tuning in. 1000 foot, let's get back to the flight deck. And Ian, yeah, no problem at all. Sometimes I just vector myself in as well. We'll go manual now, so I have control. San Diego's stunning, yeah, it's a great approach. That rad out is absolutely tripping out. Minimums. Down. Give it a second, then we go reverse thrust. Graphic preset. I started with high, and then I tweaked a few things to ultra. And yeah, Brett, I will be sorting out a video at some point soon for you guys. Where are we taxiing off to? That looks like Ian there. Is that Ian? Yeah. San Diego traffic. United 264 runway vacated. So, KSAN, open the charts, taxi, parking spots. I assume this is Terminal 1. Although actually the terminal's the other side of the airport, isn't it? So this has got to be Terminal 1 for domestic? Not really sure, to be honest. But we'll go next to Ian anyway. And internationals, I'd imagine, go all the way over there as well. RAM, it's a 32 gig DDR4 RAM, it's at 3600 megahertz, I think it's clocked at. Should probably put the landing lights and stuff on. Or off, rather. And yeah, unfortunately it's a default airport, so pretty naff. Haha, no problem, Ian. I figured I'd just park next to you. The airport itself isn't too interesting anyway. While I wait for the APU to start up, what I will do is I'll go to drone cam and I'll show you guys the rest of the airport. So there we go. That's what it looks like anyway, with the auto gen, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. 16 gig RAM Intel i7 8-core processor. Processor wise, I've got a Ryzen 5 3600X. So we got partly auto gens, but there are some nice sort of textures on the runway and things as well. So the approach, as well as we saw, is pretty nice. There's the naval base, home of Top Gun Training Academy. That entire island there is the US military base, and I used to stay down there through the awful polygons. In real life, there's a actual building. Oh, look at that! That is terrible. There's a car park right at the end of the runway, and because of that, it's a little bit of an odd approach. You fly straight over the car park as you come in. But there we go. That's San Diego. APU's available. Let's put the bleed on. Tax lights off. Oh. Interesting, that's decided to come back up again. Beacon off. So obviously wing lights and seatbelt signs. Now let's see if we can force the steps. Request stairs. Oh, look at that. So we're using Pushback Express because we've got ground control now, so I can request baggage. Yep, there we go. Catering. Lovely. Gate gourmet and power. There we go. So we've got all of our ground services back. And then of course if we wanted to, we could turn around and head back. But that's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this short live stream, checking out how the new update from yesterday is behaving as well in relation to the A32NX. Obviously, as you can see, it's all working nicely again now. I think it was fixed within about an hour or two, so you could either download the stable version or the master development version and get the same experience that we've just shown off here. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do click that subscribe button for us, and head to Discord as well if you've got any content suggestions or anything you'd like to see over the next few weeks, and I'll do my best to try and fulfill as many of those as I can. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, of course, we'll be doing another group flight, and details for that will be all over our Discord server. If I don't see you tuning in for another live stream over the next few days, then I hope you all have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you all for watching, and have a good day. See you soon.